Kurt Lahr. I am District Sales Manager with Quality Liquid Feeds in northern Minnesota and North Dakota. The Hendricksons are customers of mine, and they've been with Quality Liquid Feeds since 2012. Long-term customers. They've wandered from the herd a little bit, but have come back again. And it's really not a surprise once I got to know Joel. He's kind of competitive, and he wants to make sure that everything that he's doing for the dairy is contributing to his profitability, and once in a while he'll check that out and make sure. So he's found that QLF has been a pretty good part of their program, and he's been with us for a long time. So part of that competitiveness has been, kind of comes back from his high school days. He was a wrestler in high school all through since 8th grade on varsity, and he's actually placed 4th place in state his junior and senior year. So he brings that competitive spirit with him to the dairy, and everything that he does for the dairy he strives to improve the profitability on. And they do a lot of intense work on their forage quality programs, and they are always looking at ways to increase profitability. So as far as the family goes, if any of you have come from a large family in the past, you'll find that it's pretty unique. We got to see this when we came up and we did our photo shoot for this presentation. The younger kids help out with, the older kids help out with the younger kids, and it's just refreshing to see. They're very well-mannered, well-behaved, fun to be with, and so we want to make sure we're going to get to know everybody today, right? Okay. And then also, I got to know Joel more so because we worked probably closer together, had more communication, but we had the opportunity to meet and spend the day with Amanda when we did the photo shoot, and I can tell you that Amanda is the glue that holds this thing together. So she's been supportive and always kind of helps Joel, I guess, make decisions, I would assume, like any other farm wife would do. And having done so, that's how they actually came to talk about and discuss and pursue their goal of this A2 milk and 10 fins creamery. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Joel, and I'm going to let him tell you the story of their farm and their creamery. So, Joel.
Well, first of all, I'd like to thank QLF for sponsoring us and having us here. And my name's Joel Hendrickson. This is my wife, Amanda. And at this time, I'll have the kids stand up and announce their names.
I'm Zach.
I'm Maddie.
I'm Julia.
I'm Lucy.
I'm Lily.
I'm Maria.
I'm Lynn.
I'm Nora.
I'm Jen.
Me, Emma.
Then we have Bree sleeping there in the stroller there. History of us. Well, our roots go back to actually 1889 when my great-grandpa moved from Finland to the U.S. and started farming. He was 22 years old at the time. He started out in Upper Michigan and then eventually found his way down to Wolf Lake area, Wolf Lake, Minnesota, which is just a little ways north of us where we're at now. I graduated from high school in 2003. All through my high school years, I grew up on a dairy, of course. All generations. We're fifth generation dairy farm. All generations farm. I grew up on a dairy, and in my spare time, I would go relief milk for other farmers, and I never wanted money. I wanted to work for a heifer calf or work for a cow. So when I was graduated, by the time I graduated, I had about 10 cows of my own. Then 2005, ended up, we'd met Amanda. We ended up getting married in 2005. 2009, we started milking cows on our own. I'd worked for numerous farmers before that in the area, and 2009 we started milking cows on our own. Started out with 77 cows on a rented facility, rented all of our land, rented the facility. In 2013, we bought our farm where we're at right now. We only had 15 acres at the time. And 2017, we ended up buying an additional 295 acres, which was adjoining our land, which we were kind of banking on. Well, with only owning 15 acres, I knew there was some land to the south or north that eventually was going to come for sale, and we got stuff to the north of us that was actually in hybrid popple, so we had to go through the work of clearing it out of there. But then in 2019, we started this working on our creamery and building our creamery. And December of 19 is when we started running our first productions. There's a little video of the farm, our freestall barn right there. Parlor there where you can see the kids walking beside there. That was actually an old, when we moved here, it was a horse stable actually. We gutted it out and put a parlor in there. We still use the silos. There was an old tie stall barn which we actually took down and used a bunch of the materials to do our parlor and stuff. You can see those windrows over there. That was the popple tree land that we had cleared right there. And we windrowed them for the time being so we could farm in between them. Here's a little video of kind of explaining what A2 milk is.
Everyone loves milk, at least at first. And everyone needs protein and calcium. It makes you strong. But some nutrients are different than others, especially when it comes to milk. Cow's milk has been a favorite for a millennia. Easy to absorb nutrients are good for you. Cow's milk has two types of protein, whey and casein. Casein has two types of beta casein, A1 and A2. In the past, cows only produced milk that contained the A2 protein. The same protein you liked as a baby, because A2 is the same protein found in human milk. Everyone was happy. But then a natural mutation happened in some cows, and their milk started to contain A1 protein in addition to A2 protein. Unfortunately, the A1 protein is not compatible with some people and causes discomfort. Thankfully, there is a safe way to test cows to see which protein their milk contains. And by only breeding cows that produce A2 milk, Minnesota has its first exclusively A2 herd and creamery. Now everyone can comfortably enjoy natural, real milk. Real milk, the way it used to be.
Yeah, we, in 2014, talking about the A2 thing, in 2014 I had read an article in a dairy magazine, I don't recall which magazine it was, talking about the A2 thing, and I actually started selecting bulls with the A2 gene with the thought that maybe someday some creamery, Land O'Lakes, some big creamery will start giving you a premium for this milk and running a separate line. Well, that didn't happen in a few years. So in 2017, we did a DNA test on all of our cows to see which ones had the A2 gene, and at that time we had 60% of them had the A2 gene. So then we went and sold the ones that had the A1 gene, and I went to a few other herds, guys that were cutting back or quitting farming, and first I went through their genetic records to see if it was an A1 cow, she didn't even have a chance of being, if she was sired by A1 bull, she didn't have a chance of being an A2 animal. So I went through all their records, decided which ones have a chance of being an A2 animal, and I tested all those. And I bought those animals out of their herd, and then I had a complete herd of A2 cows. Before we actually built the creamery, we knew which cows had A2 milk. We kind of wanted to experiment on some people and see, is there anything to this A2 thing? Does it work for people? So one person came to mind. We have a neighbor, Harold, just a mile down the road, and he hasn't drank milk for 25, 30 years. And I called up Harold. I said, hey, Harold, we got this new kind of milk, A2 milk here, and it's supposed to be compatible with those who can't drink milk. I said, do you want to give it a shot, and give me a report? So Harold came up the road with his little mason jar, and we filled it up, and this was raw milk, of course, because we didn't have the creamery at the time. Harold headed home, and a couple days later, me and a few of the kids jumped in the vehicle and went down the road to see how Harold was doing. Well, if you pull into Harold's yard, he has a little log house, and about 75 yards to the southeast, he's got a chicken coop and a sauna there, and Harold's an older guy, mid-70s. He's got a big gray beard, and if Harold's the kind of guy that he'll tell you exactly what he thinks. You don't have to wonder if he's beating around the bush or trying to make you feel good. So we headed up to Harold's house, and Harold opened the door, and I said, hey, Harold, how's it going? Harold said, well, on the old milk, he said he'd put a little bit of milk in his oatmeal. And he said he could fart from the chicken coop to the house. He said, on our milk, it's 2 farts per gallon. There was a few other folks that, one mother I can think of that had a 1.5-year-old little boy that was dealing with a diaper rash steady, diarrhea and a diaper rash, and they'd been to the medical doctors and they could not figure out what's going on. Well, a natural doctor close by us knew of us, said, go try some milk from us. And they came and got some milk, and it all disappeared, gone. She said, it can't be the milk. So she went back to normal milk, and it came back. So it's been fun to see people like that couldn't drink milk and now can drink milk. And I'm actually confident enough that it seems like 95% of the people who can't drink milk think they're lactose intolerant, or 95% of them, what I see, can drink this with no issue. You go back years ago, the doctors, they knew nothing about this A2 thing, So if there was any issues with dairy, it got blamed on lactose. There's always lactose issue. That's the first thing they blamed it on. Dairy details. We have actually the majority of our herd is a Holstein herd. We have a few brown Swiss, and then a few brown Swiss Holstein and then we actually have one little Jersey that's in the herd there too. We have a total of 260 cows, counting the young stock on up, about 260. We're milking about 135. Our rolling herd average is 24,700 with protein of a 3.4 and a butterfat of a 4.4. Here's a photo of our parlor. It's actually Dairy Master equipment. We milk our cows twice a day in a swing 13 parlor. Our barn is a 68 by 200 freestyle barn. We farm the crops, corn, not really straight alfalfa. We're kind of a mixture, grass, clover, alfalfa mix is what we like to do. Calf management. This is a little hoop barn from Farm Tech here that we have our baby calves in. It's actually 12 stalls on each side. After they're born, they come into here, and we actually use whole milk. We never use milk replacer. We use whole milk on our calves. We usually feed them until they're 2.5, 3 months of age, and then they're weaned off. Here's the little hoop barn. Once they're weaned off, they go into this, and they're just given a grain mix, and then hay, and that's it. And then from there, they move over to this other group pen there, and once they're about 600 pounds, they go over to my uncle's, where they're just a mile across the woods. They go over there, and they artificially breed them, and when they're 3-4 months pregnant, then they come back home to our place. Transitions maternity pen. We in the summertime when the weather's nice, we actually don't really have no transition pen. They're all this, eat the same feed out on pasture. I actually rarely go check on them. Usually we see a calf running around and go round up the cow and calf. I feel that when they're out on pasture, grazing and exercising, you don't have issues, you know. In the wintertime when it's cold, we have a calving pen in the back of our freestyle barn where we can bring them in when it's 15 below, so they survive. Here's our freestyle barn. It's a 4-row freestyle barn. Cow comfort. We have actually J&D Mighty Mats is what we have, and then we bed with sawdust just to absorb the moisture. And then we also have, as far as fans, we have 3 rows of fans. There's 1 row of fans over each head to head, and then there's a row of fans along the feed bunks there that have misters on them, and they're on a 2-stage thermostat. At a certain temp, the fan starts, another temp, the misters start. Same thing with the fans above the head-to-head stalls. Feed storage. We still use the silos and bags. I like storing in the bags and the silos because every day we're taking that 18 inches of feed off, so it's always fresh, no issues with spoilage. Then we have, you can see where the mixer is sitting right there. We have 2 wood bins which we made that our commodities sit in. We have canola meal in one and soybean meal in the other one. And there's our, right beside those wood bins is where our QLF tank is there. Talking about a little bit about QLF, we, as Kurt said, have been using QLF since 2012. And I like the QLF because we're not dealing with bags. I have all the vitamins, minerals, everything mixed right in there. And we're trying to get some extra energy into the cows. I don't believe in animal fats, so we don't feed any animal fats to our cows because I think they're herbivores, not carnivores. So we use the protein, the QLF for extra energy source. And then the consistency. If we change feeds, you always have that same smell, the QLF, so I think they transition better to new feeds when they're got the smell of that QLF steady in there. I actually, just recently, kind of my fault, we ran out of QLF. It was getting low, so I figured I'm going to give it a whirl. I cut it in half. I wanted to see, Kurt's a good guy. He's selling the product. I wanted to see, let the cows tell me, is this still working? So I cut it in half and we upped the starch and fed half the QLF. I lost 6 pounds of milk in a week And so we put her back in, and it came back up, so fuel F was still working. Cow management here. As you can see, we have J bunks here, and I believe in no waste. You know, we're not daily 10% waste coming out of the bunk. My cows clean the bunk up. No, we're never in there cleaning the thing. If you put up good forages, you know, have your silage process, there's no cobs, they eat it. As you can see, there's a lick tub sitting in there. It's actually an empty lick tub, which we have bicarb in there. I have 2 of them along the bunk. That also tells me if the cows start hitting the bicarb hard, there's an issue. We got to figure out what's changed in the ration. If the cows are leaving the bicarb alone, things are good. Breeding program. We're pretty basic. I have no heat detection collars. We don't do any off-sync programs. It's just natural heats. And we're steady running 12/7 to 13-month calving interval. Our average, we're averaging about 1.8 breedings per conception. I do keep some bulls out of my best cows, and when we're busy at times, I'll put a bull in there, let him snug up the slack a little bit. Manure handling. Here's a little video of our manure pit here. We actually only had it about 4 years. We were hauling daily. It's actually across the road from our freestyle barn, so the pipe goes under the road. Have a reception pit in the freestyle barn where we scrape all the manure to there, and it gets pumped underneath the road over to the pit there. And we clean it out once a year. In springtime, when we're tilling the fields, getting ready for corn, sometimes we'll put some on the hay ground too. Sustainable farming. We have actually been farming 250 acres of organic crops. And the reason why we kind of got started on that is when I pointed out those windrows earlier there, we'd bought this land, 295 acres, 250 it was planted in them hybrid popples. So we bought a backhoe and turned the kids loose, you know. Zach and a few of the nephews, they would go 3-4 hour shifts, 450 stumps an acre, and pulled all those stumps out of there. We windrowed them into windrows, and then we just started farming in between them. But, you know, nothing had been done to that land for 20 years, so I figured this is a perfect opportunity. If I want to farm organically, all I have to do is the paperwork to get it certified. So we went through the paperwork of getting it certified. I wanted to see, man, can I handle this? You know, can I handle farming crops organically? So we've been farming for 3 years our crops organically now, with the thought that if somebody big got into the A2 thing and we thought that, man, we got to be a little different, or we could always go A2 organic. So that's kind of why we did that. As you can see, there's the kids in the photo on the left. In one of our cornfields, that actually is a transitional field that was not sprayed. All we put on it was manure from the cows, cultivated it. And there's just a photo of a pasture there. The creamery. Here's the raw bulk tank right there. We actually have this creamery sitting right beside the parlor. And the reason why we did that is because we didn't want to haul the milk and have a receiving bay. So actually when the cows are getting milked, the milk goes straight into the creamery when we want milk in there. So there's only a 5-foot alley between the 2 buildings, and the pipes going overhead going into the creamery. We have a HDST pasteurizer. That stands for high temp, short time. So our milk is pasteurized at 170 degrees for 20 seconds and is done. We do not homogenize. I feel that if it naturally separates, why should we change that? So we do not homogenize, so we'll have the cream on top, but you have to pasteurize. So we chose to go with the HDSD pasteurizer. Actually, this equipment came from Cedar Summit Farms. I don't know if anybody's ever heard of them. They were in New Prague, Minnesota, and had a little on-farm creamery, and that's where all this equipment came from. Here where there's probably better pictures coming here. Here's the front of our creamery here. We actually kind of chose to do like the old Western style front, you know, at the boardwalk. It's actually cement, but it's stamped cement with, looks like boards there. So there's the little pasteurizer right in the middle, all the tubes going back and forth up there. There you can see a better picture. That's the little pasteurizer. That thing will do about 120 gallons an hour. There's, you can't really see it good in the picture on your left. There's a little butter churn off to the end of that table there, which holds about 70 pounds of cream we can put in it, and you'll end up with about 40 pounds of butter in each batch, so it's kind of a small scale thing. Products we offer. We initially started out with just whole milk. And our whole milk is whatever the cows are producing. So if you buy our whole milk, it's going to be right now a 4.2, 4.3 butter fat and a 3.3 protein. And then we have 2%, and we got our chocolate. Which our chocolate is a 2% chocolate. We chose to go with cane sugar in our chocolate milk because cane sugar is non-GMO, and any health-conscious person will know that. Everybody else don't care, you know what it is. We did not want no high fructose corn syrup. Then we've got into a little bit of butter there. We take the cream from our 2% there and turn it into butter. And we only add sea salt in our butter. That's it. Marketing. We actually just got into Kowalski's here. I don't know if anybody's heard of Kowalski's. They're in the Twin Cities area, Minneapolis, St. Paul area. We just got in with them the end of August, and they actually started it in one of their stores. And you can see these two pictures are from, we went down there, took that little Jersey cow, and we went and set up right in front of their grocery store, right by the doors going in. And we had our table giving samples of milk. I figured, we actually, you can't see there's a calf in a picture too. I figured if we bring the animals, we're going to draw some attention. And if they come talk to us, come look at the animals, we can tell our story. And it worked. Many people came to us and said, man, they've never saw a cow here before. Now, you'd be surprised, the city kids, that we had a bottle. It was a bottle calf, so we'd put just a little bit of milk, because if we'd have put a full bottle, a calf would have been full after one person, so one kid. So we just, little kids that come and talk to us and look, we asked, hey, you want to feed the calf, you know? And many people said these kids have never saw a cow before, never saw a calf, so they were all excited. And a bunch of them we saw leaving with our milk then, you know. So that's kind of marketing. The whole creamery thing, marketing is the key. And I'm convinced if we could somehow inform everybody in Minnesota what we're doing, my milk would be gone. But how do you exactly do that? You know, how little things like this can get the consumers liking it, that are drinking it, and they'll spread the word, you know. Kind of like Harold. Community outreach. We did a little open house. It was actually on September 11th. Last year we never did it because the whole COVID thing. So this September 11th we did a open house. As you can see, we had a team of horses. A guy came with a team of horses, and he did a little ride out into the pasture where the dry cows were. There was actually a little calf was born out there. I purposely left it out there so they could see the calf running around. We had a little bouncy house set up there. Kids sure enjoyed that. And then we had a meal. We fed brats, hot dogs, cookies, and milk. we actually had about 450 people that showed up to that and ate, so it was a good turnout. Somebody said that it was probably 400 of them were my relatives, but wasn't the case. Community. We have, right here is actually a school group, summer school group that came to do a little tour of the creamery, you know, check out the cows. I showed them the calves. They checked it out. They actually had lunch at our place and played games, and I think that's huge to do. You know, there's even up by us, not a big city, there's so many people who don't know anything about farming, you know. There's getting to be less and less farmers nowadays, so I think that's a huge thing to do stuff like this and educate them about what happens on a farm. And also the whole education about the A2 thing, you know, there's the majority of people, when we were sitting at Kowalski's and people had come up to us, very few knew what A2 milk was. Challenges. Well, in the last year, I would say the biggest challenge has been not being able to go into the stores and do demos. I think that's huge. We did one, me and Lucy did one demo in Central Market, which is 45 minutes away from us, before this whole COVID thing started. And there was about 6-8 people that, when they saw we're demoing milk, they said, oh, they can't drink milk. I said, whoa, you're the one I need. So I convinced them to come take a sample, and they said they'll know before they leave the store if it worked. And every one of them circled back and took a carton of milk. So I think that's huge. If you can get in the stores and give samples and tell your story. Now, as you can see, Kowalski's, we just did that a few weeks ago, so they allowed us to come in there. It's starting to open up a little bit. Other challenges, I don't know about other folks in the U.S. here, but this is the worst drought we have ever saw in my lifetime this summer. I got a first cutting of hay and nothing. That was it until in the last month we've got about 6 inches of rain. So actually right before we came, you could say we made our second cutting of hay, and it was nicer than the first cutting. Usually you wouldn't want to cut hay this late because of the frost issue, you know, scared you're going to damage it, but everybody's doing it. They just want the hay. Lifestyle. This truly is a lifestyle choice. You know, I get to work with the kids hand in hand, learn with them, see life and death with the cattle, watch crops grow. It surely is a lifestyle, not a business, you know. We, a couple of years ago, I'll just tell you a story here about, a couple of years ago we built a bunkhouse. It's a 1/4 mile down the road. It's by a pond, and it's up on 8-foot stilts, and there's 6 bunks in that thing. The kids begged me to go stay out there and sleep in the bunkhouse. It's all those memories, you know. There's a swing coming out of the tree that we swing and jump into the pond, you know. I'd have to say that my kids keep me young, keep me going. You know, at this time I'm going to have Zach, Maddie, Julia come up here. I'm just going to tell you a little bit about what they do. Zach, he can do about anything, whether it's cut hay, whatever kind of field work we got, milk cows. He prefers to drive tractor. So I used to always be the one that would mix feed. Now Zach's kind of taken over. I'll just watch, you know, Zach makes the mix. I'll watch the cows, see what the manure looks like. Too much corn coming through, we got to add a little protein. I'll tell Zach, put a little protein in the mix, 40 pounds of canola, let's see what they do. You could ask Zach how many times we change that thing, you know. So he's kind of taking over the mixing the feed. Julia and Maddie, they are always helping in the creamery. As of right now, we're only running our creamery every Monday. And as the demand grows, we'll start doing more days a week. Because it only makes sense, you know, if you're running smaller amounts, you have hour of cleanup, hour of prep. So the more you do at one time is way more efficient. So as of right now, we just run it on Mondays. And it's always Maddie or Julia and Lily or Maria that take turns every other Monday. They get up at 4:30 with me. We process milk. Maddie and Julia are the ones who invoice the stores. They do all the receipts for the stores. Zach here a couple months ago was complaining to me that when he was Maddie and Julia's age, he was already scraping the lane, driving the skid steer, scraping manure, you know. So I told him, I said, well, Zach, how did you learn? You know, I taught you. So I said, you got to take one of them and teach one of them. So Julia got a new job. Okay, you guys can sit down. Lucy, Lily, Maria. Lane. Lily and Maria here, like I already said, they switch every other Monday with Maddie or Julia, come process milk with me. They're the ones who, we have our own little delivery truck, which we do like a 50-mile radius, deliver milk. They're the ones who have been on that route with whoever, so they know where to go. So if there's a new, say my dad, when my dad started driving for us, if we needed to send somebody along that knew where to go, you send Lily or Maria. And they knew where to go. They know where you park here, bring the cartons, bring the crates of milk into here, give the invoice to this guy, take your empty cartons from here, empty crates from here, and they know the route, so they get her done. Yeah, got a little story here. A couple weeks ago, I was cleaning the parlor. You know, they also milk cows, dipping, wiping, but they have their 5-gallon bucket they got to kick along to reach the cows, you know. So a couple weeks ago, I was cleaning the parlor, and I realized that bucket is wore off about 2 inches. And all I hope is that they grow according to how the bucket shrinks. You know, if they start growing too much, that means they're going to have to milk more cows so the bucket wears more. Lane, he feeds calves, helps milk too. Lucy, kind of the same thing, feeds calves, helps milk. She don't need the bucket, she's getting tall enough. You guys can sit down. Finny, Nora and Emma, come here. Nora, you know, the way we've always did it is when our kids get to first grade, they get a bull calf. And then they can raise that thing up, they can sell it, and that's their income. You know, usually what they've did, they go ahead and buy a beef cow. Now we got a little beef herd going. Julia, Maddie, Lucy, they got a beef cow, they have a couple calves. And some of our customers that buy milk from us, buy beef from us. So now Nora just went into first grade. Now she gets to get her bull calf and start raising that up, and that's her little income there. She feeds calves. Finny, let's call him the reporter. He kind of rides his bike around the yard, comes and rides in a tractor with me, goes in the house, tells Mom what's going on. You know, a couple days ago, we were bagging some silage, and we didn't get the bag full one day, so the next day we fired up on the bag again. And you know, when you start it's a 7800 John Deere on the bagger. When you start it up, you got to have it in park. Well, I forgot the thing in park, and we started bagging, and I was wondering what in the world's going on. You know, tractor's grunting like crazy, and I figured, man, are the fuel filters getting plugged or air filters? And then I realized I had the thing in park, so the bagger was trying to push the tractor too. And Finn was out there with me, riding, and he saw what was going on, you know. Well, I had, in the meantime, told Amanda she was going to Wadena. I said, hey, we need some filters. I got to change them. I got to see what's going on. Well, before Amanda got to Wadena, Finney had, in the meantime, left and went and jumped in with Amanda. And first thing Finn said is that they don't need filters. The tractor was in park. So we can't slip anything by Finn. He reports, you know, if Zach did something, wrecked something, Finn comes and reports, you know. He's a reporter. Emma, she's our little Elsa. She usually has her little Elsa dress from Frozen on. You can only get her to take it off long enough to wash the thing, and then she puts it back on. When Sarah and Jade came and did the footage of our farm there, she had it on, but she had to put her 10-fin shirt on for a little while, but before they left, she had her Elsa dress back on. And then we got little Bree. She's just longing for the ride. She hears a four-wheeler start, and she's wanting to get out there and get on the four-wheeler. And I guess I never really explained the whole 10 fins thing. When we started, we had 10 children, and I'm 100% fin, and Amanda's 100% fin. So that's where the whole 10 fins thing came. But since then, we got little Bree. So everybody asked me, what are we going to do? Well, I think what we should do is just put a plus sign, and that'd cover any and every. But last of all, I guess I would like to just say, you know, thanks to the local community. I don't know, we got Todd here, got a few people here from the local community. You know, if it wasn't for the local community when we started our creamery, we wouldn't have got to the Twin Cities. You know, if they weren't there supporting us and buying our milk, whether they need it or not, or they just like what we're doing, we would have never got to the Twin Cities. So that's truly where it starts, is with the local community. You got to build it up there and branch out from there. Just like the Kowalski's thing, they actually came to us because they had heard about us, and it's great when it works out that way. But it always starts out locally. It's amazing. There's a little gas station in the town of Menahga. When we started, he quit all other milk, and the only milk he has is our milk. And he was even giving samples of milk to people that would come in. And I tried to tell him, I said, hey, I should give you a few free ones. He said, no, that's fine. He said before, when he was selling other milk, he'd end up outdating a bunch. He said, no, he never outdates it. So it's been awesome to see. And then last of all, I would like to thank my kids. You know, they're truly the inspiration behind all of this. If it wasn't for them, we probably wouldn't have started this. It's because we wanted to see future generations be able to stay a small family farm. So they truly are the inspiration behind what we've did. You guys keep me young. Love you all. Well, that's it, I guess.
Excuse me, I gotta say something. I'm Mark Hall. I worked as the lead crewman for the Whiteberry Yacht Club, Symmetry Golf Course, Whiteberry Lake. And Jim Kowalski was a personal friend of mine. Every time they saw me, hey Doc, how you doing, Doc? And I was here a few years ago. They were on a fishing trip up in another guy up in Canada. The man in the plane, and he stepped out too soon. He got thrust forward. He got into the props and cut his head off and killed him. And it was a sad thing. But Jim was, they were going to celebrate their 50 years. And they never got to do that. Just thought I'd mention that.
Yeah, we actually, while we're at Kowalski's, Mary came and visited us, and Chris, who is now the daughter who is the CEO, they both came and visited us. Chris took the 4 kids we had with us, brought them into the Shoreview location store there and bought them cookies and milk, and yeah, seemed like a great family. All the workers at Shoreview location, several of them told us how great they are to work for. I didn't ask them nothing about it. They came to us and said they're awesome people.
I always went to the White Bear store all the time, living in White Bear Lake. So.
Yep.
Yeah, he was a great guy, and I just sick of me when he got killed.
Yep. No, hopefully, actually, I just got a text from Brett Lindemann on the way here to the Dairy Expo. They started us in that one Shoreview location, and I just got a text from him. They said that next month they're planning on moving our milk into all their other locations, and I think they have 11 locations, so that could be huge. And then we also, just a week ago, got an email from Market Wagon. I don't know if any of you have heard of Market Wagon. They're actually all over the U.S. They're in Indianapolis, Knoxville, Tennessee, Nashville, Tennessee. And they go to these areas and they find local producers, and then they get their produce, and then they do a home-to-home delivery. And they're moving to Minneapolis, St. Paul area. I think next Tuesday will be their first day delivering produce, milk, all that. So they contacted us. So things are looking up. We may be moving more milk.
Well, they have a good-sized store on Grand Avenue in St. Paul, and I've been to that one several times.
You gotta go request it there then.
They're a good company.
Anybody else got any questions?
So why did you choose fluid milk versus some cheese or a processed product?
Oh, I don't know. Probably mostly because you see what fluid milk consumption is doing. Steady, down, down, down. And I'm convinced it's because of this A2 thing. Look at almond milk, soy milks, they're going up. There'd be no way to prove this. But I wonder if you go back 20 years ago, were there more cows with the A2 gene? I don't know. You'd never be able to prove that. But how come back then you never heard of these issues? Now, everywhere I go, at least somebody in this in a family they know that can't drink milk, or it's amazing. So, it's fun to be able to let them drink milk again. Actually, in our local family there too, my dad, he had issues with dairy. There's a bunch in our family that couldn't drink milk too.
With your packaging, why did you select to go with carton versus glass or plastic?
Well, the main reason why we did that was because the equipment we bought, we had that carton filler. And then there is an advantage of the carton. It's got your 4 sides, so you can tell your story. You take a glass bottle, it's a little area to tell your story, so it's nice, just like my kids when they're eating their cereal, they fight over them Fruit Loops boxes to sit there and look at those, well, how many kids out there are maybe have our milk carton sitting there and they're reading that, it's cardboard is, and then also another reason is cardboard for the natural people, glass would be nicer, but they're kind of a pain. You got to deal with washing the things. We'd need a steam boiler for the washer, and here, and then another, our storage, our building is 40 by 42, so it's a small little creamery. Our dry storage, you get a box of them cardboard carton, there's 300 of them in a box like this. Can you imagine 300 glass bottles sitting there? We'd have to double the size of the creamery just for our storage. So that's kind of why we did it. And then also, I guess, the carton filler is way faster than the little carousel that fills the glass bottles. This carton filler does about 340 gallons an hour, so it's fast. It definitely has more issues. You got to deal with sealing the bottom, sealing the top. The glass, you just fill it, cap, and you're done. So there is definitely a negative to the cardboard, but we we've kind of figured out how the system works. Actually, that carton filler is a 69 model, so it's not new, but it's, the nice thing is there's no computers. You don't have to get some big tech to hook up and see what's going on. You know, we can watch it and figure it out ourselves. You know, it's been fairly simple stuff which we have had to do to get it working right. And if you ever needed to machine something or make something, you could just go to a local machine shop and have somebody make something for it, you know.
I have a question. Are there any theories about why the A2 mutated? And then how did you find out about that? Or is that something that's general knowledge?
Well, I just read about that in a magazine, how this mutation occurred. You know, that's what I'm going off of, what we'd read, you know, about how this happened. You know, I guess that's all I could say about that thing. I don't know.
How was your milk company to deal with you guys producing your own product?
They've been awesome. First District, I'm a member of actually Nelson Creamery, who is a feeder creamer at First District. And First District has been awesome. Their CEO came and toured our creamery. You know, they put our whole creamery thing on their Facebook page, so they definitely haven't been against it. They've been awesome to work with. You know, like doing quality testing. I've sent samples with my milk truck, send it off to their lab. They'll do that for me. I've heard these stories of some other creameries. You know, they started a little on-farm creamery. They said you could have your milk. You know, and if I were to do that, there's no way I could have survived. Never.
You took your excess milk cream?
Yeah, First District's taking all. We're only running 6-7% through this creamery right now. So they take pretty much all of it, you know.
How easy was it to deal with inspection and stuff on the building?
Yeah, we dealt with the state, of course, the health department. Those are the same people that inspect the creamery. I don't know. I have no complaints about them neither. They're supportive of setups like mine. You know, look at them. They're losing farms all over the place. They would like to see a little creamery where they got more work to come inspect and do that. They're supportive as ever. They've been awesome.
So what's next? Like, what's your next long-term goal? When you look at a business, they say every 3 to 5 years you need to expand by a certain amount. So what's the next step for you guys?
Well, I don't know. If we were going to expand into, say, ice cream into different products, we would have to add on to the creamery. It's efficient, nice little. I like the way it was designed and set up, but we would have to add on. You know, I don't know what I foresee us doing. You know, as far as like building a brand now, we're getting a brand built with 10 fins. I could foresee with all my kids, I'm bound to have somebody who wants to stay in farm. You know, I could see us, okay, we get 10 fins organic sweet corn, and we're already with the distributors. We can send it with the distributors out to the stores. Now, once you're in with them, it's easy to get produce into the stores, products into the stores. You know, we got these beef cattle. Maybe we start selling beef. You know, whatever. I feel if we wanted to, we would never have to expand the herd size, never have to get more acres. We'd just branch out into other things. You know, asparagus, potato, whatever, you know. I'm kind of a dreamer, you know. I don't like to let grass grow under my feet.
Did you have to go and get your pasteurizer's license and learn about that, or did you already hire somebody, or how did you go?
Well, I went and took a class at the U of M on running pasteurizers. So yeah, I did that. It wouldn't have been necessary to run the pasteurizer actually, but it definitely helped me know it and understand it. If I took one training further, say like right now, if I had an issue with the pasteurizer and I had to break one of them state seals, I am not supposed to start processing milk until they come and inspect it that it's working right. If I took one step further and they trained me how to do the testing, then I could legally fix the issue call them and they'd have a week to come verify that it's working right, you know. So yeah, I did take that one class, and I'm kind of fortunate. I actually have a cousin who lives a mile down the road who owns Dairyland equipment, who they work with parlors, with all that kind of stuff. And he had never did a creamery before, but he understood diversion valves and all that. So he's the one who actually laid out how the creamery was going to sit, you know, and how the cleaning CIP was going to go and all that stuff. And he did an awesome job. No, he actually kind of learned with me. We learned together, basically. Like when the Menahgas at Cedar Summit, when they bought this equipment, this is actually Israeli equipment, except for the carton filler. The Israelis came for 2 weeks and actually worked with them and trained them. Well, we learned by the School of Hard Knocks with issues, you know. So me and my cousin Keith, we just set it up and started running, and yeah, we had issues. And we learned from the issues, I guess.
For this A1 gene, is it like recessive, or is it something that you have to change to test your report to make sure it's not?
Well, cows are either A1A1 cows, A1A2 cows, or A2A2 cows. An A1A1 cow is never going to give A2 milk. An A1A2 cow is never going to give A2 milk, but she is a carrier. So if you breed her to a A2A2 bull, you get a 50-50 chance of getting the A2A2 offspring, whatever side she throws, or A1 or A2 side. But now, my whole herd's A2, so I use A2 bulls. We haven't even been testing them no more. So yeah, once you have the A2 thing, just use A2 bulls and you're set, you know.
Looks like we're getting a wrap it up sign, but you can tell by just Joel's discussion that the wheels are constantly turning in his head and coming up with ideas, and so let's give them a round of applause. Appreciate it, and we appreciate their business. So thank you.
Yeah.